You wake up on a void ship somewhere between a noble inheritance and a complete catastrophe. You are now a rogue trader. Or you might be once you stop standing there looking confused in your family's ancestral regalia. The Von Valancius dynasty just lost its previous head under circumstances the game describes as complicated, and you should probably stop asking about it until you've worked out which end of a plasma pistol faces outward. The Imperium of Mankind is your technically supportive, deeply terrifying overlord, a galaxy-spanning empire built on bureaucracy, suspicion, and the aggressive recycling of human skulls into decorative architecture. Billions of people live and die without questioning this. You, though, just inherited a warrant of trade, one of the rarest documents in the known galaxy, a piece of paper so powerful it tells every law of Imperium to look the other way while you do whatever you want on the frontier. Explore Xeno's ruins, trade with alien civilizations, conquer planets, commit a modest amount of heresy along the way. The warrant permits all of it in the fine print. Your first choice is whether you even want the job. You can tell your seneschal Abelard Werserian that you'd rather not. He will look at you with the expression of a man who has managed powerful people's terrible decisions for 30 years and has exactly zero patience left for this particular one. You get dropped on a burning hive world, trail lost forever. That is the bad ending. You had one task. Assuming you took the job, you now command a void ship larger than most cities, crewed by thousands watching to see what kind of rogue trader you are. The Expanse immediately gives you something more pressing to worry about: the corpse of whoever used to run this dynasty, and a planet called Rykad Minori's currently experiencing a spectacular level of civil unrest. Your companions are a masterclass in people who need you to stop making bad decisions. Abelard has served the Von Valancius dynasty longer than you've been alive. His emotional register runs from mild disapproval to barely concealed despair, and he keeps things running with the efficiency of someone who has cleaned up too many messes to be surprised by new ones. Cassia Orselio is your navigator, a young woman whose third eye can read the warp currents, the navigational hazard your ship must cross to reach anywhere beyond known space. She is also, depending on how badly her house politics are going, a ticking diplomatic incident. Heinrich van Calix is an Inquisition interrogator assigned to watch you, which is exactly as comfortable as it sounds. He is right about 80% of the time, which makes him infuriating rather than reassuring. Idira Tlass is an unsanctioned psyker. Considerable biological capacity for psychic interference, zero official authorization to exercise it. She can turn a firefight in seconds or destabilize local reality in ways that invite consequences no one is prepared for. Managing Idira is less about tactical deployment and more about hoping she had a good morning. Pascal Hanieman is a tech priest, a cyborg scholar whose expertise runs to machine maintenance, ancient systems, and technical rites performed with the precision of someone who considers protocol indistinguishable from function. His concept of enthusiasm is limited entirely to ancient technology. Sister Argenta is a battle sister, armored, armed, and carrying the institutional certainty of someone who has never once second-guessed a standing order. Terrifying to fight beside in the most technical sense. Footfall is a floating city of sorts, a tangle of void ships, platforms, and ambition welded together in the dark between stars. Everyone who wants something in the Coronis Expanse passes through Footfall, and everyone there wants something from you the moment they learn a new rogue trader has arrived with a fresh warrant and presumably deep coffers. J. Haydari is a cold trader, which is the 40,000 millenniums polite term for someone who deals in things the Imperium would prefer not to acknowledge exist. She is clever, pragmatic, and finds opportunity in situations that would make most people run. Early at Lenavis is Eldari, and recruiting her is precisely the kind of thing your warrant allows that the Inquisition would raise an eyebrow about. She communicates her feelings through extremely eloquent hostility and considers humanity a young and loud species. She has done nothing since meeting your crew to update that view. She is also carrying a weight she doesn't discuss and a grief she doesn't name. Mirazai Ezeresh is Drakari, and recruiting him puts you in the running for most operationally volatile roster in the Expanse. He values strength above sentiment, finds ordinary moral reasoning baffling, and is extraordinary in a fight. Whether he's worth the complications is a question you'll answer differently on every playthrough. Ulfr is a space marine of the Space Wolves, a transhuman warrior who makes every corridor feel smaller just by walking through it and every tactical problem simpler just by being in the room. Not a subtle addition, a statement. The further you push into the Expanse, the more you realize every faction you're navigating is reacting to something. Not to you, not to each other. Something older. Something that has been waiting. Pascal's quest line begins with machinery and academic curiosity and ends somewhere that changes what the entire campaign means. He wants to run a deep communion sequence with the Void Ship's central machine architecture. You authorize it. What emerges from that process is Nomos, a presence and intelligence shaped by every operational and moral decision you have made since the campaign began. Nomos is a mirror that has learned to speak. It reflects your record back at you, and it is either the most interesting character in the game or the most unsettling, depending on what you find when you look at it. What Nomos reflects is you. The Tan Shard is the other axis around which everything turns. The Tan are ancient star-feeding entities from an age so distant that most civilizations alive today are geologically recent by comparison. A fragment of one has been buried in the Expanse, and multiple powerful parties want control of it, including Inquisitor Xavier Calcazer, who has his own vision of what control means. Whether you destroy the shard, enslave it, let it become Nomos, or join it determines the shape of everything that follows. The warp is not merely the navigational channel your ship crosses. It is a dimension of psychic energy shaped by the psychological output of every sentient being in the galaxy, and it exerts pressure on whatever passes through it. Not the way a person exerts pressure, the way a storm wants to be a storm. Kasha is the only thing standing between your crew and permanent disorientation every time you make a jump. Her questline involves her family house's power struggle and an ancient navigational artifact called the Starway Atlas, and it forces you to decide what kind of person she becomes. Idira's questline goes somewhere darker. The interference patterns in her cognition have a source. The threshold she keeps perceiving at the edge of her awareness leads somewhere real. What she finds beyond it is one of the game's most quietly devastating threads, told in a register entirely different from the thunder of the main plot. The destabilizing elements in the Expanse, the corrupted forces, the Necron stirrings around the Shard, the Inquisition's competing interests are not random pressures. They are the shape of something set in motion before you arrived. You have been walking into the center of this from the opening moment. Epitaph is where your choices become permanent. Every companion kept or lost, every conviction point accumulated, every mercy shown or example made. It all narrows here. The final confrontation with the Tan Shard is a question in the form of a boss fight. You can destroy the Shard, which is clean and final. You can enslave it, which prompts the Inquisition to draft very serious letters sent by very fast ships. You can let Nomos become it, perhaps the most extraordinary outcome. A new entity shaped by your decisions, taking the capacity of an ancient stellar construct and choosing to protect rather than consume. Or you can join it. The game does not stop you. Your companions will try. Abelard will try. The look on his face is worth pausing on. It is the look of a man who spent 30 years in service to a dynasty he believed in, watching that dynasty make its final decision. The Coronis Expanse gets the ruler it earned, and so do you. The dogmatic ending restores imperial order to the frontier. The Von Valancius dynasty became steward of a sector, slowly becoming another province of the regime. Orderly, effective, and the kind of victory that future generations will read about in texts that make it sound cleaner than it was. The iconoclast ending builds something that has never existed in this corner of the galaxy, a frontier where cruelty and rigid hierarchy are not simply law. Imperfect, fragile, and constantly threatened by the Imperium's institutional horror at mercy enacted at scale. The heretical ending hands the frontier to the corrupted forces. New hierarchies form from the wreckage of the old ones, none of them kinder. The Nomos secret ending is the game's most unexpected destination. A world watched over by a young emergent intelligence that remembers every choice you made and chose despite everything to stay. The Tan Path is less an ending and more a departure. You leave, Abelard dies, saying the name of the rogue trader who came before you, because in his estimation, that person would not have made this choice. Whether he is right is the last thing the game asks you to sit with. Such was the echo of the deeds of the rogue trader of House von Valancius, deeds that transformed the Coronis expanse and prepared it for events even darker and more violent. But those are the events of a different story. This one has come to an end. The Coronis expanse was never going to be saved by one person making all the right calls. It was always going to be shaped by one person making a series of calls and living with the shape of them. You made yours. Somewhere, a new warrant is being signed. Somewhere, another ship is crossing the maw. The frontier doesn't wait.